Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here and if you're returning, welcome back. I have a video today with 10 ways that you can celebrate Samhain. So we have Samhain coming up on October 31st. I mean, it's always October 31st. But I want to acknowledge for those of you that are in the Southern Hemisphere that it is Beltane. So this is, right now it is approaching Samhain as I'm recording this in the Northern Hemisphere. But, feel free if you're in the Southern Hemisphere to take these ideas and use them in May when Samhain happens for you. So I just want to acknowledge that before I get started because we tend to focus a lot on North America, but we have lots of witchy brothers and sisters in the Southern Hemisphere, and I want to acknowledge them as well. So I have 10 ideas for celebrating Samhain, and some of these incorporate the more secular holiday of Halloween. I love both of these things. I love Halloween, I love Samhain. So I like to try to incorporate some of the Halloween traditions into my Samhain celebrations as well. So these are all just ideas that, various things that I've done. And I hope that it gives you some inspiration and, of course, adapt them to however you see fit. These are just inspirational jumping off points. So traditionally, Samhain has been seen as a time to venerate the ancestors. It's been seen as a time when the veil between this world and the next is at its thinnest. So it's an ideal time to honor and work with those who have passed before us. Now, when we talk about ancestors, ancestors can literally be, our grandparents, our parents, our great-grandparents, people in our lineage, but they could also be people in our cultural lineage. They can be people in our spiritual lineage. They can be anybody that we want to honor that is on the other side. So don't limit ancestors to just the idea that it has to be somebody that you are blood related to, because I think of ancestors as just anyone that's gone before that we have a connection to. So when it comes to ancestor work, some people will set up a full altar. So for some people, ancestor work is not just a thing they do around Samhain. It is something that they do all year round. And I think, even people that don't believe in Wicca or witchcraft or pagan beliefs, some people do this anyway without even realizing it. Like they'll have pictures of people that they've lost up in their house, and that can be seen as a form of an ancestor altar or ancestor work. They're honoring those who have gone before and remembering them. It can be as simple as that, having pictures up of people that we love and that we missed. Some people will set up a full altar and they'll have it all year round. For other people, they might just incorporate it around this time of year. They might incorporate it into already existing altars with things like pictures of loved ones, or for some people, it's even just like cultural artifacts, things that remind them of the people that have gone before and their connection to culture and ancestry. So feel free, don't feel like, especially if you have limited room or maybe people that might question it that you live with, don't feel like you have to set up a whole giant altar unless that's something you want to do. Even just having pictures out of people that you loved, or, having like a little item, on your altar can be a great way to honor the ancestors. One thing that I do is throughout the year is on birthdays of people that have gone and on their death days, I'll light a candle for them just as an act of remembrance of them. And that can be a really simple way to incorporate ancestor work throughout the year. And then on Samhain night, you can light a candle honoring all those who have passed, particularly those who may have passed in the past year. And for me, that's going to be something very important to do this year. If you've watched my channel, you understand. So I think that honoring those who've gone before can be a really great way to celebrate the Samhain season. Now, the second thing that I have on this list is offerings to the dead. So sometimes, this can be as elaborate as a dumb supper. So a dumb supper, I have never attended one. I would love to attend one, but it sounds very elaborate. A dumb supper is where people set plates for the dead. So in some of the versions that I've heard about, they will invite people and everybody has a spot beside them for someone that they are inviting from the other side. So it's kind of like every second seat is empty and has a plate, and you put food on it just as if they were coming to dinner. and you eat the meal in total silence. And some people have even done things where they have like black tablecloths and black plates and everything's black, and you eat it in total silence as a way of communing with the dead. Now, for most of us, I think that something that elaborate may not be totally realistic. But I think even putting out a plate for someone that has died, and putting food on it that they liked, even if it's just like a little bit, putting a drink out that they would have liked, having even, just having that set aside for them, can be a great way, I think, on Samhain evening to honor those that have gone before. It's like, as if they would just come over and hang out with you. So I think that can be a really great way to honor the dead. I also think too that offerings don't have to be just food. I think food is like a very traditional type offering, but maybe you put something on your ancestor altar, or the part of your altar that you are reserving for ancestors, of just something that they liked. One of my brothers that passed away in 2009, he really liked cars, and so I will often put out a toy car for him, because he loved like the, what do you call them, the Hot Wheels cars, those kind of things. And you can even go, like, some people will go around that time and visit somebody's grave, and they'll put out something that the person would have loved, or light a candle for them, or put flowers out, and that's all something that you can do. And it doesn't have to be on Samhain either that you do that kind of thing. So it's a way, again, of just acknowledging the dead and part of that ancestor work. Same with like lighting a candle for someone. So offerings for the dead. Now, because we're talking about the dead, and there's this belief that the veil is very thin at this time of year, this can be a great time to do some spirit work as well. So where you're communing with spirits. And I know this is not for everybody, but for those that are interested, this can be a great time of year. I actually find the time between Samhain and like the Christmas Yuletide season to be the most active for me. And I think I feel like Yule is particularly active as well for spirits. And I think it's only natural that, when we have the holiday season, when we have like family and friends coming together, that they want to come around as well. Also, it's dark at this time of year, so it's natural for us to think about that side of life, right? Like to think about spirits and all of that stuff, and be a little more open to it because it's so dark. And particularly because I live in Canada and I live like, more north, it gets dark early. Like it's dark, especially as get towards Yule. Like I often arrive at work and it's dark, and I leave work and it's dark. So it's it's a time of year where it's a little easier, I think, to commune with spirits. Now, there's different ways that you can do that. For some people, you can have as elaborate as like a whole like seance. Some people will bring out the Ouija board on or spirit boards, because there's different kinds of spirit boards on Samhain night. I know that's not for everybody. There's a lot of feelings around Ouija boards. Just remember that most of the fears around Ouija boards come from the movie The Exorcist. Before the movie The Exorcist, most people were not afraid of Ouija boards. It was seen as kind of odd, and there were some people afraid, but it's really horror movies that have driven that kind of mentality. I have worked with spirit boards in ritual in a protected circle on Samhain, and I've never had any issues. I think if you are opening and closing properly, if you're only inviting in positive spirits or people that you're pretty safe. So don't be afraid, if you're using those kind of precautions to work with spirit boards, if that's something that you're interested in. Another thing that people often like to do is things like teacup reading and scrying as a way to commune with spirits. Scrying can be done in different ways. You can use a black mirror. You can even use like a black bowl and fill it with water. I've done that. Like just take a dark bowl, fill it with water. What you want is non-direct lighting. So very often people will have a candle and they'll set it to the side so it's not reflected in the mirror, or it's not reflected in the bowl of water. And you look into it and you sort of like lose, focus. And it's definitely something that involves practice. And I know it's not everybody's jam, but it is something worth trying. And you get images and things when you look into surfaces like that. And that can be a way to communicate with loved ones and with spirits as well. So that's something that you might want to try, when you're in your Samhain rituals and celebrations. Now, kind of leading into that is what I would say is number 4, and that is divination. So some people celebrate Samhain as the start of the year. It was believed to be the Celtic New Year. I tend to do year readings on New Year's, like actual New Year's, because I believe that there's a lot of collective energy around the new year. So I personally don't do year ahead readings at this time of year, but some people do. And if that's the way you view it, it can be a great time for that. It's also just a really great time for divination in general. It's a great time to, do like a tarot card reading, do an oracle reading. If you're into Lenormand, runes, whatever your divination system is, it can be a really great time of year to do that kind of thing. Because I think, again, veil is thinner. I think also people are just kind of thinking more about that kind of stuff. It can be just like a really great night to pull out, your favorite deck of cards and do a reading for yourself, for the people around you. I often find that this time of year, if you're a card reader, more people are interested in getting readings. Like people just have that kind of on their mind. So it can be great to do like a card reading for yourself at this particular time of year. Now, the fifth way is if you're thinking of doing any rituals around Samhain, if you think of the solar year and compare it to sort of the lunar cycle, this is kind of the waning part of the year. Like if you think of summer solstice as the height of the sun, sort of equivalent to the full moon, and you think of winter solstice as sort of the new moon, like it's equivalent to the new moon part, then Samhain is like the dark crescent moon. It's like the moon is waning, and it is definitely, we're going into the dark moon season if you're looking at solar equivalents. So this is a great time to do some protection magic. So great time to do like a smoke cleansing, or for some people who are allergic to smoke, you can use sprays as well. You can do a cleansing of your home. Great time to put up some protective wards. This is a really good time to do that, particularly if you're not someone that is, likes to have like spirits around your house or anything. It can be a great time to do that kind of stuff, to do some protective work, or just, just setting up some boundaries, and also just thinking about in your own life how you can, set up some boundaries as well. And on the physical plane, maybe things like, making sure you have, batteries that are working in your smoke detector, thinking about protection of your physical home. So it's a good time to do some protection work. You can do some spells about protecting yourself, protecting your family, home, friends, all that kind of stuff. The other thing too is this is also a great time to do banishing work, which often like is very closely, it's related to protection magic, but not quite the same. Protection is about, like putting up boundaries, putting up walls. Banishing is about like getting rid of unwanted things. So again, great time to do like smoke cleansing, banishing anything unwanted. Great time to do rituals as well, banishing any negative energy in your life, banishing, and it happens. Like we live in the world. I mean, we come across all sorts of things. I don't want it to be like, oh, negative energy, like somebody's cursing me or something. No, we just pick up stuff in our own lives. We just, you run into that cranky person at work, or somebody comes home in a bad mood. Like all those kind of things sort of accumulate. So it can be a good time to do banishing, just banishing any negative energy. If you want to combine the two, cleanse and banish first, and then do protection. Nature abhors a vacuum, so make sure that you're inviting in positive energy as well. But it's a great time to just kind of clear out. It can also be a great time to just like physically clear out things as well, clear out any clutter, do some dusting, just kind of clear out any negative energy. It's a great time to work on that. So I think we're up to number 7 now. Number 7, okay, so now I'm going to talk about ways to incorporate Halloween, the more secular stuff into your Samhain traditions. And this can be good too if you're not really out about your practice, or you need to be a little more discreet about it. So one way is, obviously trick-or-treating and candy, blessing candy. So blessing candy, sweets, all the things that you're giving out to children. When we think about like trick-or-treating is one of the few sort of exercises we have left in community building. We sort of live in an era where people are sort of afraid of each other. We have like gated communities. We don't really talk to our neighbors in some places. And this is one of those times when we actually like interact with our neighbors. So we can bless our candy as we give it out to people. They don't have to know that it's blessed with positive energy, but just that you're sending out sweetness into your community. And don't forget to have a little bit yourself as well. Another way that you can incorporate Halloween traditions into Samhain is through costumes. So I had heard of somebody who they like to pick a costume for the kind of energy they want to have for the year. And I thought that's a really great idea. So, if they want a more glamorous type energy for the coming cycle of the year, they might dress up as like a glamorous, actress or like a sexy witch, or, they want to bring that energy in. If they want a more superhero type energy, they'll do that. Just think about like what kind of energy do you want to bring into next year, and you can have make or incorporate that into your costume as a way of bringing that energy in. Because dressing up can be a great way to sort of like let ourselves explore another side of ourselves, or to bring in energy that we might not into our day to day. And then another way that you can bring the Halloween energy in is through decorations. Now, a lot of people love Halloween decorations. Well, like the jack-o'-lanterns and things are a good way to like invite spirits, or to ward off, like invite good spirits, ward off negative ones. You can turn a Halloween decoration into a protective ward. Nobody needs to know. You can even carve like a little sigil inside the pumpkin. You can do all sorts of things. It's like totally open to your imagination. But you can incorporate into decorations. You can turn them into sort of protective objects, or objects that can attract, sweetness and good fortune. So don't be afraid to put some energy into the decorations that you're putting out. And then the final way is, obviously it's Halloween. So there's lots of like spooky, ghost shows and movies. And I think that in some ways that's magical, because I think that, when it comes to like horror movies, they can be a great way to confront our fears in a very safe kind of way. Now, I love spooky things, but I'm not a big fan of like horror, like gore. I love like paranormal type stuff. And I love watching like ghost shows and ghost hunting shows. And I think it can be a really great reminder that there's more to this world than just what we see on the physical plane. I think it opens us up to the mystery and the wonder of life. I think it should just be a really wonderful exercise to do, to let us know that, hey, there's more out there than what we see with our physical eyes. So I hope that's given you some ideas and some inspiration of how to, different things that you could do to celebrate the Samhain season. And they don't need to be expensive or like really elaborate, or, and if you're somebody who maybe isn't totally out about it, or has people around you that are a little weirded out by these things that you're living with, it can be a way to kind of incorporate these things without people noticing so much. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you have any other ideas or things that you've done. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a blessed Samhain whenever you're watching this. And I just thank you so much for all of your love and all of your support. And a big thank you to my patrons. You guys are amazing and allow me to keep doing this stuff. So I really appreciate it. If you want to check out the Patreon, that's what it's called. Yes. To see what's going on over there. We're working with Athena this month, October of 2023. Not too late to join us. You can check that out there. I also do readings on my Etsy shop, which you can check out as well. So thank you everybody for watching. And as always, peace and love. And